Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Eliezer Melamed Shlita. Here we are in Yom Shlishi, Pamayim Ki Tov. We're continuing our learning for this week, and as I mentioned yesterday, that next week and the week after I'll be in Israel, so we probably will not have programming in this format. We'll resume when I get back in Mirz Hashem, but in the meantime, please continue davening for Chayalei Tzvah Gan Yisrael, for Shlem L'Chal P'tuei Yisrael, return of Ron Gavili, the Kvuras Yisrael, Elei Nishmat Saren Daniel Shimon Arav Daron V'Shali. We learn in his memory each and every day. And we continue with Eitzah Keneged Ta'ayos. We discussed one who makes mistakes during Shemoeh Esreh, asking for rain when you're not supposed to, or not mentioning when you are supposed to. So perhaps one of the more common mistakes that is made in Shemoeh Esreh are the aforementioned mistakes when it comes to asking and mentioning rain. Because we switch the nusach, we switch the language every half year. So since for a half a year you get accustomed to a certain way of saying things, so it's possible that your regular flow of the language can become sort of rote, and it becomes regular for you, so therefore it's possible to make mistakes. And as we learned previously, that 3 out of the 4 mistakes require you to repeat Shemoeh Esreh. So this is fairly common. And anyone who's told you that they've never made the mistake, well, they're probably just not telling the truth. So if a person is not sure if you said the right thing, so if you're not sure, as long as you're within 30 days of the change, so the beginning of the summer or beginning of the winter, so most likely you made the mistake, because you're probably used to saying what you had been saying until now. It takes a full 30 days plus to adjust. And if this is one of the 3 out of the 4 that require repetition of Shemoeh Esreh, and you're not sure, and you're within 30 days, then you have to repeat Shemoeh Esreh. But if already 30 days have passed, then you already have become accustomed to the new change, the new language, and most likely you have said the proper language, and you wouldn't have to repeat Shemoeh Esreh. So, for instance, right now, as we find ourselves on the 3rd day of Tevis here in Chutz La'aretz, so we switched Saint Halamatar on December 4th. Okay? So December 4th. We are still within 30 days of saying V'Saint Halamatar. So if a person is not sure whether you said V'Saint Halamatar or not, then you would have to repeat Shemoeh Esreh, because most likely you were still saying V'Saint Bracha. In order to save yourself, how do we best prevent making these mistakes, or certainly even entering into these doubts? Because we're saying that so many times you're going to have to repeat Shemoeh Esreh in these instances. So therefore, each person, on the day that we switch to the new nusach, you should be accustomed to yourself. So on the day, let's say that we switch to V'Saint Halamatar, you should say it 90 times to create hergel, to create some sort of pattern and familiarity. And therefore, if you have a suffix whether or not you said it or not, since you went through that exercise of saying it 90 times. By the way, that's why the 30 days. 30 days, because you're going to say it a couple times a day, and then it gets to 90, 3 times a day. So that's why we have 90. If you say 90 at the outset, then you've already accustomed your brain, you've accustomed your language to saying it. So therefore, if a doubt arises, let's take our example today. It is December 23rd. And we're still within 30 days. But if, let's say, on December 4th, a person sat down and said, V'Saint Halamatar L'Vracha, V'Saint Halamatar L'Vracha, said that 90 times, then you've established what's called hergel. And if you have a doubt today, on December 23rd, you would not be required to repeat Shemoeh Esreh. He's going to give the Israeli example, obviously, because this is in Israel. In Israel, they switch to Saint Halamatar on the 7th of Cheshvan, not the 4th of December like we do. And if you have And a person, therefore, should accustom himself to say the bracha accordingly, and then you should say 90 times. Rofei Cholei Am Yisrael, Barei Choleinu, V'Limineg Ashkenazim, Yomar V'es Kol Minei Tzvuasol Tova V'Sein Telamata L'Vracha. And for Ashkenazim, the way we say V'Sein Telamatar, because we don't have the whole change in the bracha, just that line, we should say that 90 times. Ukashiagil Tfilas Musaf Shel Rishon Shel Pesach, and when you get to the first day of Pesach on Musaf, Yomar Tishim Pam Mechayeh Meisim Atarav Lo Shia Morid Hatol. You should say Morid Hatol if that's the nusach. Again, in Israel we say that. We don't say that here necessarily. If Motzai Chag Lefnei Tfilas Arve Shel Chol HaMoed L'Minig Svardim Yomar Rofei Cholei Moisol Barcheinu L'Minig Ashkenazim Yomar Ves Kol Minei Tzvuasol Tova V'Sein Bracha. Again, so we should just say that language with same bracha afterwards, because we don't say it until after Yontif is over. V'Sein Bracha, V'Sein Bracha, V'Sein Bracha. You say that 90 times. I recall fondly in yeshiva that when we would have dancing on Simchas Torah, one of the sets that we would do is we would have a song. We would say Mashiv Ruach HaMored HaGeshem 90 times as part of the singing. But again, that's part of this halacha. There is a very long note here, note number 5, about going from Kites to Chorif, Haskaras Geshamim on Shmini Atzeres, again, whether saying Mored HaGeshem, Mored Hatal, again, because we said that we don't have to repeat it if you said Mored Hatal, but for us, since we don't say Mored Hatal, it would apply equally. So again, the person just creates what's called hergel. This has to do with a pattern, establishment, and if you also just accustom yourself to saying it, and of course, always should daven out of a sitter, but that doesn't always help, because sometimes, as I mentioned yesterday, our mouths move quicker than our brains. But we have to make sure that we say the right thing always. And everybody here is doing the right thing by listening to us. We thank you so much. Please continue davening for Chayil Tzvah Yisrael, for Moshe Cholz Yisrael, turn over on really for Kavuras Yisrael, and Nishmat Daniel Shimon Arav Yom B'Shal Shem Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.